I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume. So I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. Continuing in the Doctrine and Covenants, we are now moving to March of 1831. Joseph Smith is now in Kirtland. We are in the Kirtland, Missouri period. The saints will start gathering in Ohio. They've already probably started moving in, but it's going to start building up a lot in the next few months, and many people in the area will become converted. This is now the time that we get to section 45. Now the heading to this section states this: Revelation given through Joseph Smith the prophet to the church at Kirtland, Ohio, March 7th, 1831. Recorded in History of the Church, Volume 1, pages 158 to 163. Prefacing his record of this revelation, the prophet states that at this age of the church, many false reports and foolish stories were published and circulated to prevent people from investigating the work or embracing the faith. But to the joy of the saints, I received the following. So that is kind of the setting. A lot of false stories are being circulated, a lot of lies being told, and this is a comfort to the saints in this era. It is not physical persecution, but it is a reputation destruction. It is rumors and all that. So that is what we have here. But it is a very long section, and so we will again be reading it into videos. In this first video, I will read verses 1 through 38. So we read, Hearken, O ye people of my church, to whom the kingdom has been given. Hearken ye, and give ear to him who laid the foundation of the earth, who made the heavens and all the hosts thereof, and by whom all things were made, which live and move and have a being. And again I say, Hearken unto my voice, lest death shall overtake you. In an hour when you think not, the summer shall be past, and the harvest ended, and your souls not saved. Listen to him who is the advocate with the Father, who is pleading your cause before him, saying, Father, behold the suffering and death of him who did no sin, in whom thou wast well pleased. Behold the blood of thy Son, which was shed, the blood of him whom thou gavest, that thyself might be glorified. Wherefore, Father, spare these, my brethren, that believe on my name, that they may come unto me and have everlasting life. Hearken, O ye people of my church, and ye elders, listen together, and hear my voice while it is called today, and harden not your hearts. For verily I say unto you, that I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, the light and the life of the world, a light that shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehendeth it not. I came unto mine own, and mine own received me not. But unto as many as received me gave I power to do many miracles, and to become the sons of God. And even unto them that believed on my name gave I power to obtain eternal life. And even so I have sent mine everlasting covenant into the world, to be a light to the world, and to be a standard for my people, and for the Gentiles to seek to it, and to be a messenger before my face, to prepare the way before me. Wherefore come ye unto it, and with him that cometh I will reason as with men in days of old, and I will show unto you my strong reasoning. Wherefore hearken ye together, and let me show unto you even my wisdom, the wisdom of him whom ye say is the God of Enoch and his brethren, who were separated from the earth, and were received unto myself. A city reserved unto a day of righteousness shall come, a day which was sought for by all holy men, and they found it not, because of wickedness and abominations, and confessed they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth, but obtained a promise that they should find it and see it in their flesh. Therefore hearken, and I will reason with you, and I will speak unto you and prophesy as unto men in days of old. I have to say, this sounds a lot like the rest of Christianity. You know, Christ's plea there to the Father. Look what I've done. Look at the blood that I shed. Consider my sacrifice, and for my sake, bless those who believe in me. He is the advocate, and what is his advocating? He's not saying, look at them, they're doing great, they should be blessed. He's saying, look at me, look what I did. And that's the attitude that most Christians would approve of. But the rest of this, I looked at this, he's explaining who he is and what he does, and calling us to follow him. And he's saying, if you will come to me, I will deal with you just like I did with all the ancient prophets. I think it was Abraham who called himself a pilgrim on the earth. And Jacob also says his pilgrimage, talks about his life as his pilgrimage. The whole city of Enoch was translated. This is something that all men, all righteous men have sought to be part of that Zion. But few, relatively few, have been given that blessing. Most people have had to live in this world as pilgrims. They feel this disconnection from God, the separation from God. Their home is in heaven, and the time on earth is their pilgrimage. Just like we might take a pilgrimage to the temple. We might go out to Salt Lake for a general conference. That would be a pilgrimage. We are all on a pilgrimage on the earth because we are all coming here, coming away from God to experience this life. But our home is in heaven. Let us continue, verse 16. And I will show it plainly, as I showed it unto my disciples, as I stood before them in the flesh, and spake unto them, saying, As ye have asked of me concerning the signs of my coming, in the day when I shall come in my glory in the clouds of heaven, to fulfill the promises that I have made unto your fathers. For as ye have looked upon the long absence of your spirits from your bodies to be a bondage, I will show unto you how the day of redemption shall come, and also the restoration of the scattered Israel. And now ye behold this temple which is in Jerusalem, which ye call the house of God, and your enemies say that this house shall never fall. But verily I say unto you, that desolation shall come upon this generation as a thief in the night, and this people shall be destroyed and scattered among all nations. And this temple which ye now see shall be thrown down, that there shall not be left one stone upon another. And it shall come to pass that this generation of Jews shall not pass away, until every desolation which I have told you concerning them shall come to pass. Ye say that ye know that the end of the world cometh. Ye say also that ye know that the heavens and the earth shall pass away. And in this ye say truly, for so it is. But these things which I have told you shall not pass away, until all shall be fulfilled. This is going back to Matthew chapter 24, where literally he's talking about the apostles came to him and said, Tell us about the last days. Tell us about the end of the world. And he prophesied the destruction of the temple, which we know occurred in 70 AD, in the generation of the Jews then living. Would happen just under 40 years after Christ was crucified. So it happened in that generation. And they were scattered just as Christ prophesied. And said, yes, the earth and heavens will pass away. These are all true prophecies. And so he's reasoning with the modern saints, saying, look, this is what I told them of old, and you can see it happen. You can see it happening. So believe the rest. You've seen some of it happen. Believe the rest of it. But it is very much just repeating what is in Matthew 24. So we're going to continue now in verse 24. And this I have told you concerning Jerusalem, and when that day shall come, shall a remnant be scattered among all nations, but they shall be gathered again, but they shall remain until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And in that day shall be heard of wars and rumors of wars, and the whole earth shall be in commotion, and men's hearts shall fail them, and they shall say that Christ delayeth his coming until the end of the earth. And the love of men shall wax cold, and iniquity shall abound. And when the times of the Gentiles is come in, a light shall break forth among them that sit in darkness, and it shall be the fullness of my gospel. But they receive it not, for they perceive not the light, and they turn their hearts from me because of the perceptions of men. And in that generation shall the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And there shall be men standing in that generation that shall not pass until they shall see an overflowing scourge, for a desolating sickness shall cover the land. But my disciples shall stand in holy places, and shall not be moved. But among the wicked men shall lift up their voices and curse God and die. And there shall be earthquakes also in divers places, and many desolations. Yet men will harden their hearts against me, and they will take up the sword one against another, and they will kill one another. And now, when I, the Lord, had spoken these words unto my disciples, they were troubled. And I said unto them, Be not troubled, for when all these things shall come to pass, ye may know that the promises which have been made unto you shall be fulfilled. And when the light shall begin to break forth, it shall be with them like unto a parable which I will show you. Ye look and behold the fig trees, and ye see them with your eyes, and ye say, when they begin to shoot forth, and their leaves are yet tender, that summer is now nigh at hand. Even so it shall be in that day, When they shall see all these things, then shall they know that the hour is nigh. And we're going to end it there. Again, this just continues what we read in Matthew 24. Now, some of it is only made clear in the Joseph Smith translation of Matthew 24. And that won't be had among the saints in the modern day for a number of years. I think it'll take a couple of years before Joseph Smith finishes translating the Old Testament and thus gets to Matthew. But this is basically the same prophecy. Christ is reviewing the prophecy of Matthew 24. And he's saying this, he's basically telling the people, this is what I told my ancient apostles. What I told them is still true. It is still going to happen. And this is the generation in which it is going to happen. Exactly what is meant by generation is hard to pin down at this point, because there are at least two ways in which the word generation is used in Scripture, and that is father to son. The son is one generation, the father is the previous generation, the grandson is the next generation, that kind of thing. But there's also, especially in 4th Nephi, the idea of the generation being from one point to another point. Usually mean, in the case of 4th Nephi, it is the first generation begins when Christ visited. And it ends when all those who were alive and remember Christ's coming died. That is why the first generation ends like 100 years later. The second generation then begins at the point that the first generation ended and continues until all those who were alive at the moment that the generation shifted, when they all die, then we get the third generation. And if we judge the modern day in that way, the first generation of saints would have ended when the last person who was alive and remembered the organizing of the church in 1830 died. Now, the last person to have known Joseph Smith personally, I think, died in 1913 or something like that. Now, those who remember the early days of the church, the last to remember that probably died a little bit sooner. But that still gives us a generation between 70 and 80 years in length. Now, we could also just be talking about generation as in an era, or possibly a dispensation. We just don't know exactly what God meant by generation, but it is in the last generation that these things come to pass. So it is in our days. I think right now we might, if we judge the first generation to have ended when the last person to know Joseph Smith died, and I believe that was in 1913, and then that's when the first generation ended. And so the second generation would have ended when the last person who remembered the time before the World War I died. And I would assume that would have been sometime in the 90s, probably. But that's just all speculation on my part, so I'm going to leave that here. We will finish section 45 in our next meeting, so I will see you there.